Welcome to CivilNet. My guest is Lena Sarkissian, the Armenian General Benevolent Union, more commonly known as AGBU Central Board Member and Education Specialist. Recently, AGBU launched two scholarship programs. One is dedicated to Armenian Studies, the other to Artsakh. Welcome, Lena Sarkissian, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to this interview.
Great. So the first program is a scholarship for Armenian Studies in Oxford University. Could you tell us more about this program?
Sure. Well, let me give you a general overview of our scholarship program. So the general philosophy of education of AGBU is that we basically have a dual goal. Excuse me. We have a dual goal of developing personal prosperity as well as developing Armenian identity. And of course, we're talking here of the diaspora, right? Because those issues do not exist in Armenia. So, and therefore, we have developed numerous educational programs so that we help develop identity. One of the programs we have is scholarship. And with scholarship, it's to support, again, their personal prosperity in helping them develop their professional skills and pursuing higher education at university level. So we have a whole range of scholarships. We do international scholarships for students from all over the world. We have graduate scholarships in the US. We have performing arts scholarships. We have, in fact, last year we launched a new scholarship called the Helen Evans Scholarship, which is named after the curator at the Metropolitan Museum of New York. And it's for students who are going into Armenian art history, architecture, or early Christianity. And we also distribute international scholarships in England, in UK. And the UK scholarship is managed by the AGBU London Trust. And the AGBU London Trust last month announced that it is launching a new scholarship, and I should say it was initiated by a significant donation by Jenny and Joseph Uğurlayan, and the AGBU joined forces in this. The AGBU London Trust just recently last month announced a new scholarship, and it is for graduate studies, in fact, a master's degree in classical Armenian studies. And you would say, and it's in Oxford. And why is it at Oxford and not anywhere else? It's that Oxford has had an Armenian studies program since the mid-19th century. Oxford also has I'm trying to remember the name accurately, the Kalus Gulbenkian Professorship of Classical Armenian Studies. And also Oxford houses over 140 manuscripts, Armenian manuscripts, dating as far back as the 11th century. And, you know, when you and I look at a manuscript, we kind of say, oh, you know, it's beautiful. We're overwhelmed by its beauty, its elegance, its delicacy. And, you know, it kind of transports us to the past. But when you give it to the hands of a scholar, the scholar takes the interplay of the image and the text and starts to decipher it for us and explains to us what the life was in the past, what this mindset was in the past, what kind of interactions Armenians had with others. And so it allows us to delve into another mindset of our predecessors, let's say. And so what a scholar does, they deconstruct a manuscript and help us with the information and the insights they give us in helping us, giving us a sense of identity. And since our educational programs have always been focused on developing identity, that is why we have launched this scholarship in the UK. So that's...
Okay, so we'll go more in deep now. Why did the AGBU decide to create this very special scholarship? Like, I mean, the AGBU will provide support for one graduate per year for 5 years. Why 5 years precisely?
I have to say that most of the scholarships that AGBU has are endowed scholarships. So the conditions for the scholarships are set by the donors. And that is how it works. And then what happens is at times when the endowment runs out of that specific scholarship, we will go back to the donor and try to negotiate, or we will reintroduce it ourselves because we have found it to be successful. But usually it's donor-driven, and therefore that's how the conditions are set.
You gave us a hint, but still, what importance do Armenian studies have, and are we lacking experts in this field?
We're lacking experts in every field, and so the more we promote scholarship on every level, the more we find it valuable for us as a community. And when I say as a community, I mean our global Armenian community, because we need to support scholarship in the social sciences, which involves history, involves the arts, art history. Those are the more difficult fields to populate. And obviously there are employment issues involved, there's interest levels involved, but the more we support and promote these kinds of studies, the more we are contributing to understanding ourselves better and to developing a stronger sense of what it is that we have contributed to the world also, as we understand what our past predecessors have done, the kind of work they have left behind.
So we just talked about a scholarship which focuses on the past. Now let's talk about present times. The second program is a grant for research in Artsakh and about Artsakh. Is it a response to the last Artsakh war of fall 2020?
In many ways, it absolutely is a response. The Artsakh war left us all in this heightened emotional state, and we were all outraged by so many aspects of the war, and we were faced with a very well orchestrated, very well financed media war of misinformation and disinformation, and we realized that we didn't have enough scholarly output regarding Artsakh, the lifestyle in Artsakh, the history of Artsakh, the regional issues of Artsakh, and therefore we decided that it would be a timely response to initiate this Artsakh. However, I want to specify, the Artsakh is not, it's called the Artsakh Research Grant. It has very specific conditions. It's a short-term grant to be complete, the projects to be completed within 6 months, and it has a very specific output. You has to have a publishable output. But what we're very pleased in the sense that we're very open to, I should say, to a variety of areas of study. So it could be historical, it could be sociological, it could be anthropological, it could be psychological, it could be economic, it could be humanitarian, it could be environmental. So there's a wide range of areas that need to be studied about Artsakh. So, you know, we're very excited that we're able to provide, let's say, support for a wide range of studies. And so our goal is not only to increase our own knowledge of Artsakh and to understand better for ourselves, but also we want to make this available to the general public. And because of that, the grant has very specific conditions. And the conditions are that, as I mentioned, it has to be a publishable output. So what is a publishable output? A publishable output can be in a journal, in a magazine, in a newspaper. It can be in an established blog. And also it could take the form of obviously the written text, but also a video presentation or even a podcast. So we want to make it accessible to as wide a range of audience as possible. And one of the things that challenges history, the study of history or the study of social sciences, is that who controls the narrative? What is the popular narrative? What is the official narrative? What is the actual narrative? And so and yes, you know, how should I say? And yes, technology has democratized the access to information, but at the same time, it has also, as we have seen, social media and internet very easily disseminates false narratives, and in fact, even more dangerously, half-truths. So we wanted to promote original research to educate, but also to be able to collect and provide incontestable evidence to the situation and of Artsakh and to the predicament of the people. And like, let me give you a visible, like a potential project. Let's say, and I'm going to say architecture, because architecture is easy for everyone to understand. It's a very visible form. And so architecture is an art form, but which also has a very practical application. It creates habitable spaces. So when you're studying architecture, you're capturing the art, the aesthetics of it. You're capturing the science behind it. Also, you're capturing the social history of how did the people relate to this place and what did it mean to them. And I shouldn't say only in the past tense, what it does mean to them now too. And so when you're studying architecture or the architectural aspect of Artsakh, then you're capturing the complexity of the history, the complexity of the present, and that will hopefully help us get some insights into the complexity of the future. And I have to tell you that it's been less than 10 days, I think, that we've announced this. We already have numerous applications. So we know that this is a very timely grant that we have initiated.
So if I understand correctly, this is also that can become a multimedia project. So the applicants should not necessarily be scholars. They can be from other fields.
Well, they could be from other fields. We are focusing. We are promoting more, let's say, the scholarship of it, and therefore we would like to see graduate students, academics, postdocs, researchers, but we are also, and all depends on the nature of the project, but we are also open to journalists or freelance writers. Yes, we are open, but the scholarly characters, the quality of the work is primary.
In general, I wanted to understand what is the purpose of this research. I mean, what do you expect from the applicants to achieve exactly? Besides, it's having an international impact, raise awareness about Artsakh, make it more visible. Since we know that because of the war, the Artsakh war was not that visible at an international scale. Is it one of the objective, like one of the goals that you have also?
It's part of it. It's several of the goals you've mentioned, and as I mentioned to you, it was to educate ourselves, to give ourselves more information, and it is to disseminate it within the general public, and it is also to collect incontestable evidence so that we do have means of understanding and also presenting the case of Artsakh, the situation in Artsakh, and what is the possible challenge. What are the possible challenges for Artsakh and its people? Of course, when we talk about Artsakh, it's mainly the people.
Okay, thank you very much, Lena, for this talk.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for watching and continue to follow CivilNet.